We've been waiting for the government to come out with guidelines for what will become of the need to be seen in person to be able to continue telemed. Stay tuned. The news is finally out there. Hi, this is J.H. Glade for Everyday ADD Coaching. There is something called the Ryan Haidt Online Pharmacy Consumer Protection Act of 2008, the Ryan Haidt Act. And what this said is a prescribing practitioner was subject to exceptions, but may prescribe controlled medications to a person only after conducting an in-person evaluation of that person. Well, COVID came along and the world changed, as we all know. The Department of Health and Human Services and the DEA granted temporary exclusions to the Ryan Haidt Act, and this was known as First Temporary Rule Number 1. And what this did is it allowed people to be seen solely on a telemed platform without being seen in person. And this was very practical because everybody lived through the difficulty of that and the isolation we all experienced. Well, we knew that would come to an end as providers, that eventually COVID would be different, and it's different now. And for a long time, we flew under those temporary rules under the first temporary rule. So the DEA gathered information from providers, and there were over 40,000 people, including myself, who provided feedback. And they wanted further time to evaluate what's the best course of action to take. And then during this period of time, opportunists being what they are, we saw the emergence of telemed providers specializing in stimulants who would see people in a 30-minute session, and 30 minutes later, you had a prescription issued. These were nothing but pill mills. The DA recognizes that we need to put a stop to this, and many pharmacies, they quit taking those prescriptions from those companies, but the companies just reformed under another legal business name. And so it was kind of that bob and weave. Well, here we are, and the DEA has come to a decision on the future of telemed. If you established a relationship with your provider before November 11th, 2023, then you can continue under First Temporary Rule Number 1 until December 2024. The takeaway is you do not need to be seen in person to continue being seen via telemed. And, telemed solves a lot of problems for a lot of people. But if you have yet to be seen, that means that all first sessions need to be in person for you to be able to have prescriptive coverage. And this goes for non-controlled substances as well. On an emergent basis, you can do a non-controlled substance for a 30-day supply. But after that, you have to see the person in person. For any controlled substance, hey, right out of the gate, you need to see a provider face to face. And it eliminated those pill mills. Those folks cannot function after the first, and they will frankly go away. This became known as the second temporary rule, and they're sort of numbering them as they go along. And why this is it ensures a smooth transition for patients and practitioners who have come to really rely on the availability of telemedicine for their prescriptive needs. It also allows time for providers to come into compliance with any of the new safeguards or standards, and more may be coming down the pike in terms of these standards or safeguards, but that's probably going to apply more to providers than to you, the consumer. The other thing that this act does is it continues access to care. And if you have that relationship established before or during the period of the COVID exception, you can continue that. We have an urgent public need to continue access for things like buprenorphine, which is a medication used to treat opiate use disorder. We want people to be able to continue those service. I expect there will be rule changes come December next year, but we don't have to worry about them till December 2024. So We have the ability to have practitioners and pharmacists and service providers of all kinds have sufficient time to prepare for any implementation of new regulations that will apply to prescribing controlled substance medications via telemedicine. So if this has been helpful for you, thump that like button. I've heard it helps the algorithm, so they tell me. And let the cost of this being you pass it along to other people who are using these services who you may know. The best use of information is to share it. And until next time, this is G.H. Glade for Everyday ADD Coaching. Take care.